Started first as a student when I was in high school, went up to Michigan Tech, started there, and then have come back and I'm helping Team 27 out of Clarkston again. So, with us on the call are Brandy and Clint from Team 2337. I'm going to go ahead and introduce further.
Sure. I'm Brandy. I'm from, as Jason said, Team 2337. I am the lead team organization mentor for our team and handle all of the logistics and training stuff, award submissions, et cetera, et cetera. Is Clint still on the line?
Yes. Yeah. I'm head of the robots and the coach at events. So anything robot related, field related, that kind of stuff, I take care of. This will be, I think, going on my 13th year of doing FRC robotics. This is our team 10th season. I say make sure you come to as many calls as you can because there's a wealth of knowledge between Randy and Jason and everyone from Team 27. A lot of people have said that they don't, can't figure out how they would have gotten through the season without the rookie conference call. So there might be sometimes it seems maybe boring or long, but we get a lot of information that you can take to your team so that you guys can have a successful season.
Awesome. We kind of have a lot to cover tonight because kickoff is this weekend. Yay! It's the moment we've all been waiting for. So I'm going to quickly review quick build workshops and then what to do and what to bring for kickoff. And then we're going to go ahead and get into what you're going to be doing during week 1 of build season. For those of you guys who are obviously all rookies, but for those of you guys who this is your first time coaching a team, the season is kind of broken down into 2 groups, build season and then competition season. There's 6 weeks of build and 6 weeks of competition season here in Michigan. So you will hear people refer to it as like week 1 build or week 1 event, week 2 event, week 2 build. Basically, all they're indicating to you is whether you're during the build period or during the competition period. So build season starts Saturday, the day of kickoff. That is day 1 of build season. Week 1 will start on Monday. So we're going to you guys a little bit about Saturday, Sunday, and then what you should be doing Monday through Thursday of next week. So recognize a lot of your names. I'm Brandy. Some of you guys may be receiving emails from me about the day after kickoff workshops and the robot build at Kettering University that's taking place on Sunday. Clinton and I are the coordinators for. I tend to do a lot of the communication type stuff, so I'm the one that you've been receiving emails for. If you're registered for another quick build throughout the state, you'll probably be receiving emails from somebody else. I want to clear up that I know Gail has had a lot of people asking questions about is what's the difference between kickoff on Saturday and the workshop on Sunday. So on Saturday is when you're going to go to somewhere and you're going to find out what the game is. They're going to play video, they're going to talk about some sponsors, they're going to tell you what the field looks like, how many points you can score, et cetera, et cetera. It's the day when we find out everything. Okay. Most of the workshops in Michigan are taking place on Sunday. I think there's one in Detroit area that also is happening on Saturday. But then you're going to go to it and you're going to take all of your kit parts, which is just a giant box of robot stuff, get on Saturday. You're going to bring it all with you, and you're going to leave with a moving robot at most of these workshops. Workshop is a little bit different, so some of them you may only build the chassis, some of them you may only learn about electrical, some of them you only learn about programming. If you attend the one up in Flint with us at Kettering, then you're going to get all of those. You're going to leave with a moving robot. It's super great. So that's the difference between Saturday and Sunday. Does anyone have any questions about the difference between Saturday and Sunday? All right, let's hear it.
It has to do with the difference, but I just want to know, do we have to bring any kind of tools or anything, or are you guys going to supply those, or?
Are you the one up in Flint?
Yep.
And what's your name?
Victor.
Right.
615.
665. All right, I have been sending Aaron Lang emails for your team.
Right.
He should have a big, long list of things. I've sent out 2 or 3 different emails. One of them has a long list of everything that you need to bring.
Okay.
Also,
Hey, Brandy, isn't the tool list on our website?
I was just going to say, not getting the email, you can go to team2337.com. The big article at the top of our website that says, like, workshop in giant letters. And then that says, like, motivation and important documents. If you click on that, it will take you to our website where all of the documents are. There's a checklist of things you need to do before the event. It's called the event checklist. There's a list. There's everything that you need right on our website. So team2337.com.
Okay, thank you.
All right, questions about the difference between Saturday versus Sunday? I'll say this again. If you guys are not registered for a quick build workshop, you really seriously should consider this. I'm telling you, it will make all of the difference in the world for your season. I will say on average, teams who do not attend a quick build workshop spend about 2 weeks of the 6 build their chassis, where if you go to a quick build workshop, you will get it done in 1 day. So saving yourself like 13 days of build season, which is a lot. One in Houghton, one in Detroit, one in Rapids, one in Flint, one at the Robotics and Engineering Center of Detroit, and Wayne City. So all of these places are offering a quick build workshop where you guys will leave with some kind of moving robot. So the link for this is going to be in our notes. Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to interrupt you. I didn't realize you.
Sure, go ahead.
Just a quick question. If we're not going to get back, if we get back to the quick build, what sort of language is discussed at the quick build?
Depends on which one you're going to.
The flip one that you were talking about.
Once again, like, so they're each quick build is ran by different teams, so they all do things slightly different. For the one in Flint at Kettering University, we basically deploy default code in a view. Now, we refer to it as programming, but to be honest with you, we're trying to get you operational and have a moving robot by the end of the day. We go into the extreme details of how to program each motor and each controller today. There's just not enough time. Most of the day is teaching you how to upgrade your firmware of your your radio, communications between your laptop, get the driver station installed. There's a lot of time spent on just the logistics of getting everything to communicate together. But to answer your question, you're going to deploy default code from LabVIEW. Okay? And if the Kettering one as well, you actually program in Java ourselves. So while you could have conversations or talk with our team members about Java, if you want to, know what Java's like and if you should switch and that kind of stuff. There is some time to have like kind of group, but one-on-one discussions with teams to kind of figure out what's best for them. Because not every you know, so package is good for everyone. It depends on your background and what you know.
And we'll also say, like, if you guys cannot, like, get your team to go to one of these quick build workshops, if you yourself as the mentor can go, you learn a lot. Even if you go as an observer, I know in years past, up in when rookie teams have come or rookie mentors have come that couldn't get their team to come, we pair you guys up with another team. So we pair rookie teams up with veteran teams through that. So we'll find a team who's willing to work with you and willing to teach you, and you can go build with them so that when you go back to your team, you have a little bit more knowledge. We also host a stakes design where you're actually going to learn everything about the game. You will learn everything about the game. I have a team organization workshop that'll help you get your team up and running for the season, and an awards workshop that'll help you guys apply for the Rookie All-Star and Rookie Inspiration Awards. So, all beneficial.
And the thing about the Kettering one is there is some material that we provide to teams that dumb in your kit apart that allow for you to kind of get your chassis up and running quicker. If you kind of come just by yourself, you take those materials with you back to your team. Once again, they don't cost anything to you guys. Get back to your team, use it to work and build the kit apart chassis with your team if you can't get your students there. And we will be there no matter what. Come rain, shine. Robots don't have time for weather, right? We'll be there no matter what.
Any other questions about quick build workshops? Anywhere questions about the quick build workshops?
You come with the kit.
We cannot confirm that they do 100%. FRC has not released to us whether or not they 100% do. But I say that I've been doing this for 10 years, and every single year of the 10 years, a rookie has gotten one.
Okay.
That's much pretty we can tell you.
Still
99.9%.
Still a quick build shop in Ann Arbor on Sunday?
I don't think so. There was one, I know a couple years ago there was one, but I don't think Ellen Green is running it this year. It's on the list that I have.
It wasn't.
Yeah, in fact, the event coordinator for the kickoff on Saturday, they're offering one, but I see it on my list.
Okay, I'll get with her then. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I'd send Ellen Green an email. Okay. Awesome. We're gonna there's just a couple things that you guys need to do and know for Saturday. Okay. Main thing that you guys need to bring is a printed copy of your team's roster from the TIMS system. If you are the primary or secondary contact for your team in TIMS, which is the Team Information Management System, you're able to print this. If you are not that person in this call right now, you need to talk to that person and make sure that that person knows that you need to do this. So I will include step-by-step instructions in the call notes of exactly what to do to your team roster. The thing that you're going to have to do is accept the teamers that have applied for your team. I hope that all of you guys have invited all of your team contacts to come and join your first TIMS stuff, like we've talked about the last two calls. So you're going to need to go in and accept those contacts and then print a roster. How to bring this with you. Now, I'll tell you, depending on which kickoff you're going to, there's going to be someone sitting at a desk collecting paperwork when you register. If you're coming to the kickoff at Kettering, that's the only one that I'm familiar with. You'll enter through the front doors of the campus center, and there'll be someone sitting downstairs at a table, and they'll be like, hello, what team number are you with? And they'll check your name, and the person that turns the paperwork in has to be either the primary or the secondary contact. I'm sure it is like this at all kickoffs or not, but a student is that needs primary or secondary contact drops off the paperwork, and you will have to sign a paper accepting your kiddo part and some other liability stuff. So that person needs to be there first. You'll need to bring your paper copy of your roster with you. Come kickoff. We'll actually count the number of people that you're bringing in and make sure that the number matches up on the sheet that you're turning in. Some of them are like, oh, look, you brought some perks. Thanks. Have a great day. So depending on where you go, you may encounter different levels of security where you're like, for the most part, as long as you're training really hard and you bring some kind of printed roster with you, the people will be really, really nice to you if you that you're a rookie team and you're still learning. I'm not that you need to skip out on things, but they will cut you a little bit more slack if you're a rookie team. Just make sure that you bring some kind of roster printed from Tim's with you. Is that a question?
Your roster's not finalized.
That's fine.
Here, I'll give you the blunt Clinton opinion on this. Have a piece of paper with at least a couple people on it. If you bring more people aren't on that list, don't say anything. Just bring it anyways. But I'll try not to have any of them with like the little red marks on it either, because if it's got little red marks, then it causes issues and stuff like that. So, few of them in there. It doesn't need to be a complete one. It doesn't have to be every single student.
Just try to get every person that's on your list, like Clint said, get every person that's on your list with a green check mark, not a red X. As long as you got that, you're
That's
for those of you guys who have no idea what I'm talking about, there will be directions on how to do this.
Another question. I'm sorry to keep butting in here. For this Saturday, small team, I'm looking at about 8 kids with a couple more possibilities. And there's an event going on at the school this weekend. Students were not planning on attending the kickoff. I was going to go myself to learn as much as possible. Is that going to be how much I'm shooting myself in the foot here? And is it still worth going if the students aren't there? I've talked to another local team that they do some kind of mini kickoff. They just send somebody up there for the kit.
My personal opinion on this is I think for your first time doing it, you should absolutely go to a kickoff. Reason why, you'll be able to see the other teams and kind of everyone getting excited about it and all that kind of stuff. And when you see something, you can ask people questions. It's gonna be a lot better. I would definitely, if you're the only person that go. You know, get out, see what's going on and all that kind of stuff. If you get any of your students to go with you, then better. Like I said, this is like, I don't know, like explain it. I mean, it's when they give us the game, like there are all these like super secret things that, you know, actually us doing these workshops, we have to sign like NDAs to say that we won't release any information and anything until the kickoff, right? So you can bring a couple students who don't want to go to this other event. I don't know what the event is. They don't want to go and they want to go with you. I say bring them. I think it's a great opportunity for them to see it. Some of them might be behind. There is going to be YouTube videos of the kickoff that you can watch at a later date and that kind of stuff. But they're like seeing and experiencing it at the exact same time as like 30 other teams in the same room.
Yeah, thank you very much.
It's not going to be detrimental to them to not be there, but you definitely cannot replace the excitement that you feel when you're there.
Right.
It's inspiring. It's going to get those kids pumped. So that can go, definitely take. I would definitely say, even if you get 0 students that go, you should go.
Okay.
Where would you go to?
Good for the Ann Arbor kickoff.
Okay.
Yep.
I think there's probably 8 or, last I knew, probably 10-ish teams that attend there. So, and with a veteran team is really important too. When you go there, don't just be shy and sit in the back. All of you. This is speaking to all of you. Go talk to somebody. Go meet somebody. Go do something. You're going to see a lot of teams there. You're going to see a lot of coaches there. Go say hi. Please piece, because you are going to want to know these people. You're going to want to make friends with these people because they're going to be your rock when you're falling apart. Any questions about Saturday or Sunday? Before to the week of build season?
Randy, I'm having trouble finding information about kickoff event in Novi. I mean, I generated a list. I looked at what it's doing, and then compared to this is starts with the Lansing School District. So
Okay.
So, does anyone
You're
did anyone
all the way
see?
from Lansing to Novi? You're going
Yeah.
to Novi from Lansing?
Yeah.
That's going to be a long drive for you guys. I kick off this course.
Well, I mean, it's not. Well, oh, you are, but we kind of goofed up and registered for Novi. So, but do you have? I don't have.
Let me see what I can. Do you want to switch to one that's closer to you guys? Do you want to come to Flint? Because I can talk to you and see what we can do for you guys. Because that's crazy. That's like, well, that'd be like 2.5 hours for you to drive.
Yeah, she was going to be their kid parts.
Yeah, if you could do that for us, Franny, that'll work.
I don't think Novi even gets kits, do they, Clint?
I don't know.
Well, you guys are from all of Georgia's teams, right? 65, 92, 94, 95, right?
Yeah.
Eastern? Okay,
Yeah.
I'll see what we can do.
Fellow bomb with the Waldron schools, Amber would be closer for me than going to Flint. Is it in the Ann Arbor kickoff?
I don't know about that. We help coordinate the one up in Flint, so that's how I know about that. We'll see what we can do. But are you guys coming to our workshop the day after up in Flint?
Yeah. Yeah. Get there.
So
We're registered for the Kettering Sunday.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you can keep your.
at that point, it'd be better probably to have you stay at the Flint one. I know it's a little bit of a drive twice for you, but the reason why is then your kid is there, and we usually coordinate with the teams that are at Kettering to move their kid over, so you don't even have to take it home, so you don't have to worry about packing it up, moving it, losing stuff. So it would be better if you could go there. Like I said, I just don't know if there's any spots at the Ann Arbor to let people in. We don't help with that
The
one.
one at Ann Arbor is
facilitate that.
really small.
We're scheduled to pick up our kit in Ann Arbor, and then go at
Weird. You sign up for the kickoff, get your kid. You got to go where your kid is, because I mean that's the big thing. As long as you go to the kickoff and you get your kid, where your kid is, that's where you should be going. Like I said, we'll try to we can get you in contact if you want to. We'll offline. We need to keep going. Like, if you have questions, if you want to email us personally and we can see if we can help facilitate things, fine. We can do that offline tomorrow if we can. Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
All right. Build season. Clint, Jason, this is your exam. 1, the rules. Read the rules. Read the rules.
Trying to do our notes. So you're going to know what the game is, and the first thing all of your students are going to do is they're gonna see the game, and they're going to start talking about how they need to have a X-axis arm hovercraft that flies through the air. It can do everything, right? The thing is to try to tell them those are good ideas, but we got to understand the rules. We got to understand what we can do, what we can't do. What are things they don't say can or cannot do, and kind of go through that stuff. So you're going to first want to figure out what you want to do before you determine how you are going to do that, right? The example I usually always give is if we all said we were going to go play soccer, or whenever read the rules of soccer, everyone would probably pick the ball up with their hand and throw it in the goal and say, wow, this game's really easy. Read the rules of soccer, you realize you can't do that because there's a penalty, right? So you're going to want to try to figure out what you want to do with your robot, not how. So an example of that also is you want to talk about, keep it in general in terms of like you want to determine a strategy. So she might be scoring the high goal, right? It's defined, yet it's specific to say how you are going to score on that high goal, right? So design would be like use a catapult to throw into the high goal. On day one, you don't want to be talking at that level, right? At that really low level. You want to be more at the 40,000 foot view of your robot and where you're heading. You get goals for the games. So normally the games have an autonomous period where you might be able to move or score during the autonomous period. You're going to evaluate that. You're going to look at, is speed or torque important? They're inversely proportional. So if you want more speed, you're going to lose on torque. If you want more torque, you're going to lose on speed. Then
Real
the
quick.
top period, yeah.
To clear up for everyone that hasn't done this before. So autonomous period, the robot drives by itself. It's guided by sensors and through your program. Then the rest of the game is usually played in what they call teleoperated mode, or gap, where your human drivers will remote control the robot.
I think car. So the period, like I said, that's the biggest portion where robots are going to drive around. The autonomous period is typically anywhere from 10 to 15 seconds. Once again, we don't know what that is for this season. You're going to find that out on Saturday when they explain it. And then a portion of the game that's typically, some games have it, some don't, is what's called an end game. That way, at the end of the game, maybe you have to be on a platform or be hanging above a certain level or something to get some bonus points at the end of the game. So you try to break down the different areas of the game and really understand how you play that game, right? You can determine what your robot needs to do before you determine how you're going to do it. And then the next thing would be we're going to look at, your kit parts. If you're going to workshops, at least for the Kettering one, we see people don't really tear your parts, your kit parts apart and start having them over tables because things will get lost that you'll need for the build. But just you can kind of look to see what kind of things you have in the kit they have access to. And remember that just because you didn't get it in the kit does not mean you can't put that on your robot. A lot of items that are off the shelf, things that you can buy from different sources online, you can actually buy wheels, transmission, gear, sprockets, chain, aluminum, that kind of stuff to buy it. So the people, will misunderstand and think that they can only build the robot with what's in the kit of parts and everything else. That's not true. But there are rules to what you can and cannot build a robot with, and that would be the robot section of the manual. I don't know, Jason, if you have anything else to say about kind of that stuff. I was going to go into the manual stuff next. I know it's a little out of order, but
That's for me.
So right now, we'll put a link in the notes about the game manual. There is an encrypted game manual already up online that you download. And what will happen is the day of kickoff, they're going to give everyone a passcode to actually unlock that PDF to view it. So the suggestion is download the PDF just in case the internet goes down or their servers crash because so many people are trying to access this file. What's this manual is you're going to have a couple different sections. You're going to have the arena. So the section of the manual that's going to help you understand the field and its dimensions. So it's going to explain how the field is laid out, where robots maybe start, where goals are, what the height of those goals, objects, game pieces, whatever that may be. It's going to be in the arena section. The game section, that's going to give you all your points, the different objectives that you need to do. It's going to give you rules of what you're allowed to do and not allowed to do in the game. So, in certain years, they let extend as far of your out of your robot as you want. You can extend as far as you want, right? Some years they say you can only extend 15 inches outside of your robot, and then others they say you can not extend out at all, right? So in the robot rules, the game rules are going to have that kind of description. The rules is probably the largest section of the manual. It's the most tedious thing to read. You do need to make sure that someone on your team reads it, because it's going to tell you how to decide where to use, what motors are allowed, what pneumatic systems are allowed. So like I said, it's going to be very technical in the robot section. But you need to make sure that someone reads that. The game arena, my suggestion is to make sure your entire team reads the game section. My opinion is, if someone comes up to you and asks a question of, how many points is it to score on the high goal? And that's in the manual, my suggestion is to tell them to go read the manual and find that out for themselves. Because give them the answer every time, they're going to come into you for all the rules, and you're going to have them be able to figure it out for themselves. So we try to make it almost like a homework assignment for people to go home and read the rules on them and be able to come to the meetings ready, understand how to play the game. The final section is tournament section. Tournament section is going to be understand how you will rank, how selections work, and eliminations will be at the event. So a lot of people will ignore the tournament section, but our goal is to go to an event and win that event. Once you understand the tournament section of the rules, because that's going to determine how you are ranked number one and how you can, get the best opportunity to pick someone on your alliance. Typically, for people who haven't done this before, you have one robot, and you're going to be typically paired with two other robots from other schools, right, or teams. That is done through kind of like a dodgeball draft, if you will. The ranked team gets to who they want to be on their team. They can accept or decline. And then you go from 1 to 8, and then back to 1 to make your 3-team alliance. So the tournament section is going to explain how that whole process actually works. Somebody have any kind of questions about the rules, the manual, that kind of stuff?
Can you remind me again where that downloadable copy is located?
We'll put a link.
I added the website in the notes.
Yeah,
I just put it in the notes.
URL. Yeah, it's kind of like a long URL, so I don't know it off the top of my head. If you probably search for FRC 2017 encrypted manual, you'd probably find the link for it.
Thank you.
Yeah, like I said, that code, I mean, almost every year you got someone from another team saying that they're going to brute force it and figure out the password so they give the rules. It's capital letters, numbers, characters, all that kind of stuff. And like I said, it isn't released until the end of kickoff. But it's not going to have those on a couple computers because first sites do get kind of hammered from trying to access the manuals and download them. After the surge on Saturday, those files will all be downloadable that are non-encrypted at our date, so you can kind of have the non-encrypted ones, so you don't always have to type that password in. But it's at least have a copy somewhere. The thing to do is to maybe print the arena and game set of the manual, print those out the day of when you guys are reviewing the rules and seeing what the game's about. Print those out, give it to, maybe one student. If you have a small team, if you have a larger team, maybe you do one set of rules per student or something like that, or have them all on their laptops or computers to read it. Some will actually read it aloud to everyone. That can be a little bit sometimes, but it can also be necessary and good for the team to say, we've read all these rules. Through the rules, you want to write down questions, verification on. So a lot of times I think you kind of have to ask yourself, what do the rules not say, right? Rules, you can't do this, but they never said we couldn't do this. Type of a rule that you might want to write down if you guys want to ask it. On conference calls, you can do that. If you want to send a first email, you can do that. Eventually, it is a Q&A on FIRST website that will open up, and you can actually ask the question directly to FIRST and get a response back of the verification of that rule. That stuff comes out later, probably about a week after kickoff. Any other questions? And that information that I kind of glazed over super fast, and you guys are probably all thinking, well, that's a lot to take in, but not too bad.
great information so far.
Jason,
Does anyone
you guys
have any
comments?
questions?
Think good. So the only thing that we had on the
Explaining stuff, I guess. As ever.
Yep. Go ahead. Another thing we had on the list was talking about bumpers. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I actually, at the kind of quick that we're doing, we're trying to work out with a company by the name of Robo Promo, that's west side of the state. They're going to try to send out a representative, I think, to our workshop, and like be able, like, they call it bumper school. They'll be able to be there to show people how to make bumpers and have, kind of show you how to put your numbers on and that kind of stuff. The material in the kit, kit comes with material. Means that there isn't material in the kit. However, there are going to be coupons available for you to get that material afterwards. Right, so come included in your kit, but there will be a way to get a discount code so that you can later on and get material. I know the bumpers, the rules, once again, we don't know what the rules are, so this could all change on Saturday, but typically you have a blue set of bumpers and a red set of bumpers. The blue, red, they can be independent, like two separate bumpers that you build and you put on your robot and take it on and off, depending on what team you're on or what color you're on. But some teams do make bumpers that are reversible. So as later on throughout the season on the rookie calls, we'll get into this more. But some of the things I'm going to look out for is looking for pool noodles. Those pool noodles, dollar stores, they're 2.5 inches in diameter. Those types of pool noodles are what I want to look for. So if someone has a big discount for them or they're cheap or something like that, you'll want to try to see if you can get probably about 5 to 6 sticks if you to be able to do your bumpers for your robot this year. Bumpers typically that have the red or blue, and each side of your robot, typically, you will have to have your team number, iron on with your team number, or some people embroider it. Some people will use paint to paint them. The iron-ons seem to actually work the best. They look nice. They look clean. You can see them afar. And there's, like I said, the Robo Promo out on the west side of the state, they actually provide the cutouts for every number that you want to have, and colored material and the wood and all that kind of stuff.
Needs to be a certain height, a certain width. It's crazy the amount of rules that they put on bumpers in the past. So this thing we will probably spend the majority of a call on.
Yeah. Previous manuals, I think there was 3 pages of rules about bumpers. I don't want to go into too much details of the previous rules because those rules can change on Saturday and not be the same as last year. So, like I said, once we get the rules, we'll definitely cover that to make sure people look at little nuances that you need to ensure you do to make sure you pass inspection. Probably the number one reason people do not pass inspection is because their bumpers are made incorrectly.
We're one out.
Hey, so what happens if you don't pass inspection?
You have
Then
to
you have to
do
work
everything
until
in your power. Yeah, everything in your power to make sure you pass inspection.
Your time period in between inspection and first event?
So inspection will start on Thursday night. As soon as the event opens on Thursday night, typically around 5 o'clock, you can go set up your pits and you can start inspection. I think the first matches start Friday morning, typically around 10 or 11 o'clock in the afternoon. So you have all Thursday night that the pits are open, and then Friday morning until the matches start to get through inspection. It sounds scary, but teams are there that they will try to help to do everything in their power to make sure you can get through inspection. If you need a part, if you need bumper material, if you need something that you didn't realize you need to have on that robot, we will find a way look around, search their pits, and try to get you the stuff. I think it's good if you go to an event and you don't need all that, but there'll be people there working with you guys to ensure you get through inspection. If you pass inspection, you will pass inspection. It just might be some hard work and dedication to make sure you do what you need to do.
It's also not like you go in blind and you have no idea what you're being inspected on. All of the things that you're going to be inspected on are in the rules, and you will get a pre-competition inspection checklist that you can do before you go to an event to ensure that you are within specifications for inspection.
And the rookie conference calls, also another great way to keep date with, changes. The rules will change throughout the season. So as those rules change, we'll tell everyone about these updates and look out for this. And as we go through the season, we'll be like, hey, look at this. Make sure your robot fits within this volume or something to ensure you pass inspection. So the thing to talk about is, like, at the quick build that we do at Kettering, our philosophy is very big on the fact that we do not want to dictate what your design should be for the season, so cut your chassis at all. And which previously, as what this year is going to be, once again, I don't know the rules, you have to make some modifications to that chassis once you leave our workshop. So your robot will be moving around and functioning, but it is not considered a legal robot because the dimensions of that robot don't fit within a certain volume or a certain frame parameter. So we'll iterate that more when you come to our workshop to tell you guys that, to look for these certain rules. Like I said, don't worry about it. If you want to pass inspection, you can pass inspection.
All right, any other questions? There's a couple of management tests that I kind of want to go over really quick. Are there any other questions about kind of what you should be doing during the first week of build season? I have all of these bullet points, all of the links for all of these things that we've talked about will all be in the notes. Okay. If you have, feel free to chime in. All right, so one thing just from a logistical standpoint, setting a consistent meeting schedule. Really important if you want your mentors and your students to be able to be at meetings and be present at meetings and for everything to get done. Our team meets all Monday through Thursday from 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m., Saturdays 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Sundays 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. That's crazy, okay? You are a team, you have to do this. So when you get to your veteran teams being like, we meet 32 hours a week, you don't have to do that to be successful, okay? But I suggest that you meet at least 3 days a week for a pretty good amount of time. Yes, but I would say that you should probably be meeting at least 10 to 12 hours a week, your rookie season, to get everything done that you need to get done. And make you're leaving room at the end of your schedule for if you guys are meeting deadlines that you can add some extra meetings. But till you meet, you need to get access from your school for Saturday and Sunday for you guys to meet there. You're going to need those long days. Trust me. So you're going to want to make sure that you have things like foods, that whether your students are brown bag it or you're ordering pizza, just that you need to think about with your meeting schedule. I would also highly recommend that you have either an email list or use an app called Rind.com where you have to cancel a meeting or move a meeting or something like that, that you have a way to immediately get in touch with your students. Rind is great. It's a free service, and it sends out text messages to its subscribers. We've been for a couple of years now, and it's great. Another thing that our team uses is called Slack, and it's just a messaging service that's also free that you can set up and have various channels for different discussion purposes. Jason, do you guys use anything else besides what I talked about?
Yeah, we use the Remind 101 system also. Or I guess it used to be Remind 101. Now it's just Remind. The text messages out. We have email lists. We have a student list, a mentor list. Communications done through that.
Perfect. Set this up. If you're able to create a Google calendar for your team, that's really cool. You can post it on your website or make it a public calendar that people can search. That's been very helpful for our team. Everything on there. We have a student who messages us every single day and says, hey, when is our meeting? And we just send him a link to our calendar. So give those kids on your team, just having the resources available and pointing them toward the resources. That's important. Does anyone have any questions on like meeting schedules or vacation lists, things like that?
I do have a quick question. Sorry. I had to wait until you were just about ready to say something else. When with meetings, do you separate the kids into different groups, like students that are in charge of building, students that are in charge of programming? Do you use the same students? Because that is 3 hours a week. Not, I understand that we're required to do that, but that's kind of intense, a lot of load for the kids. Is it the whole team meeting every time, or is it?
So I'll try to
that's going to
tackle this
depend
one.
on your team. Go ahead.
I was going to tackle this a little bit. So one of the things that we usually say, like, if I was to meet the whole year, if I was to meet every single day of the year, I would have students here every single day of the year. So having the students come out, once they kind of realize what they get to do and the stuff they're working with, having students come in and show up usually is an issue because they enjoy this so much. They like what they're doing. They're getting to play with technology and program and build robots. Usually for us, where our meetings, everyone's invited to those team meetings. I mean, students, mentors, anybody, you can go there. There are teams, however, Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, like Rush, I think, did it, where students come at certain times depending on what section you're in. Is that true, Jason?
Yep. Yeah. So we actually break, like you were talking about, we break the team up into certain sub-teams. So a programming group, a chassis group, an above chassis group, an object collection group. And depending on the availability of the mentors and the workload for that group, after a couple weeks, we'll schedule meetings for those sub-teams. Makes sense. Have our 3 days a week are normally with the full team, and then on the off days, there may be smaller teams meeting depending on the workload for that particular team.
Yeah. Like we do a similar thing where we have a general mechanical, electrical, programming kind of groups, but we also have section leaders that are in charge of different areas. Just like we have a chassis, we have CAD, chassis, above chassis, end effector, manipulator, programming and sensors, autonomous, interface, and I feel this wiring. We kind of, that's the robot side of things. That's not including all the organizational side of things like media, outreach, communications. We kind of break that down. You have to. It has to be organic, at least at first. You can try to make some structure, but you have to do what works for your team depending on your team size. I suggest first is just start with those.
Team was a rookie. We had mechanical, electrical, programming, and PR. Basically all we had. So you were either in the mechanical group, the electrical group, the program group, or the PR group. And I mean, that's probably a pretty good place for you to start. And depending on how many students you have, if you only have 8 students on your team, Ev might be doing everything. If you have 50 students on your team, then you get coming up with jobs for all of them, and dividing your team up into subsets is the easiest way to do that.
Yeah, and I would say, like, usually the way our team runs is we encourage people to just because you're part of the, chassis section does not mean you can't help out in electrical. It does not mean you can't help out with communications. So, like, people are still allowed to kind of freely go throughout the team, but they kind of have a general focus where they stay on to make sure those jobs and those tasks get done for that portion of the robot or team.
Does that answer your question?
Because I actually, ironically, got disconnected, but I understand exactly what you guys were saying. I was able to get back in quickly enough. It was a great answer. The overwhelming majority of it that I heard. No, but that does make a lot of sense.
I'm glad we go on long enough. I'm glad on long enough that you can be disconnected and reconnected. We're still talking.
I could have not said anything, and nobody would have been the wiser.
Anyone else
No, but
have any
thank you. That
questions
does help.
about? No problem. Does anyone have any other questions about those kind of things? All right, couple quick, just logistics things. Whenever you guys are communicating with anyone in the FRC community, if you're sending another team or your kickoff people or workshop people or Gail Alpert, and you always include your school and your team number with it. Always include your team number. From now on, I promise you that 9.9% of the time, people are going to call you by your team number. Probably not going to remember what school you're from. And I know that this is a very hard thing because I know, like with us, we're at Grand Blanc. And is this big giant school district where sports reigns supreme. And it took so long for our students to get out of the whole, like, well, we're from Grand Blanc. Don't you know where Grand Blanc is? Many to saying we're from Team 2337, and people know who we are. So just tell people, like, hey, we're from Brandon School District. Everybody's going to be like, what team? Who are you? What team are you? And they're like, oh, we're Team 68. They're going to be like, oh, truck. I know who you are. Okay. So just always team number all the time. And Clint said this at the beginning of the call, but just speaking, if you have a 4-digit team number, which all of you guys do, you get as the first and then this other number second. So, for example, Dan, your team would be 6056. So kind of how we say it here in the FRC community. So we're Team 2337. Obviously, Rush, because they're only Team 27, they don't have that issue because they only have 2 digits in their number. Generally speaking, the lower your digit, the longer you've been doing this. So we, generally speaking, we're the 2,337th team to register. So that is team image. I'm hoping by now, since you guys are registered, that you have some kind of idea where you're going to go with your team image, your team name, your mascot, those kind of things. It's up to you whether you associate them with your school or not. Like we are the Engine Nerds. Our school mascot is the Bobcat. We're not Bobcat Robotics or RoboCats or any of those. We chose to kind of deviate a little bit from our school's mascot. We chose to keep our school's colors, so our team's colors are the same as our school's colors, and that's really about where it ends. So I don't know if you want to talk about like how Team Rush came up with your team name and stuff.
So when we started back in 7, we had a different team name. 98, we had a different team name. 99 is when we came up with Team Rush. And after 99, they allowed you to keep your team identity. At first used to renumber all the teams by who their corporate sponsors were. So you would get a new team number and you'd be in a new list. So after 99, or during 99, we had a the students and came up with a team name and one that was chosen. And since we didn't change our number after that, we can name throughout and been that for, well.
So
And
just
which is actually
names
an acronym. I said it's an acronym, right? Respect, Peace, Spirit, and Heart, right?
Yeah, the RUSH and RUSH stands for Respect, Spirit, Unity, and Heart. So the core values of the team.
So one thing to suggest about team image and name, a lot of times we'll try, with your team name, you want to try to make something that's course, right? So that isn't specific to this year's game, and it'll last, for years and years to come. And then people will name their robot for something specific to that year. You don't have to name your robot, but a lot of people, this year's theme is steampunk, so you want to have a steampunk name for your robot. A tendency that it seems like rookie teams will give themselves a steampunk name, and the following year it's no longer steampunk, and they kind of have a steampunk name. Maybe they're okay with that. Maybe they're cool with that. Maybe they embrace it and they accept it. But I'm trying to think of that. Think of it more of a timeless name that year in, year out, you can keep referring to that name and be proud of the name and kind of take it as a badge of honor.
Any questions on either of those things? All right, on our list for today, we're running a couple minutes over. We got a lot to cover today. When the game release, part of the manual will be drawings of the field elements. Excuse me. What the game is this year, you guys may want to consider building some of the game elements or bring up with a team that always has a field or builds a field and using some of their game elements for practice. Because it never fails. So say, you're to roll down a ramp into the field. Never fails that you're going to always try to pick up that game piece off the floor, and you're going to practice from it sitting still when really you should have something that simulates it rolling, because you need to be able to chase it to pick it up, not just drive up to it or something like that, right? There are always instances when you need to have the game piece entered to your robot from the field, or maybe things that you interact with, goals that you have to score on to, obstacles that you have to drive over or under or through. So just start to think about that, because you may have teams asking you, do you have a practice field? Do you have a practice field? Are you building the game element? It's just something to kind of put in your mind of whether or not you're going to build them.
The other thing is that first we'll give two sets of drawings. One drawing will be team drawing, typically made out of wood and lumber, PVC, that kind of stuff. And then they give you the real aluminum, sand, polycarbonate, whatever, field elements, both of those. So you just got to be aware that the practice ones are made cheaply and easily and affordably, where the ones out on the field might be more expensive, but you kind of just understand that they may be slightly different because it's made of the same material. The friction on the polycarbonate is not the same as the friction on a piece of plywood. As we go in these calls, we'll try to address the areas that you guys need to look out for and watch for, different field elements that we pay. This team wants cheap and nice to mail, but just think that this material is not the same as the real one. Be sure to look into that, okay? So kind of as you see the game elements, what you see on the kickoff video should be the real field, not the team stuff. When instructions of how to build the team stuff, it's going to be slightly different. It's understanding that those two exist.
Quick side question. How much car space should we be reserving for the kickoff for the kit?
You will have two boxes, 50 pounds each, about 50 pounds each. The totes we have received in years past are 27 by 17 by 13, and rookies have typically gotten 2 of them.
By 17 by 13? Okay.
50
I'm taking notes as well. I forgot you guys take notes.
Yes,
So, back a covered pickup truck works.
Okay.
I would have it covered because it's probably going to be safe because it's Michigan.
So
It is January in Michigan.
Google, you do a search on Google for FRC 2017 KD kit of parts, all as one word. I think they give you the dimensions and weights of all of this year's pit boxes, right? So, like Brandy says, it's going to be 50 that are 27 by 17 by 13, There will be one set of items collectively that are 2 inches by 2 inches by 48, and pounds in terms of weight. Then there's item that's 8 by 3 by 7, 14 pounds. That's the battery. I can almost guarantee you that one. And one very small item. Like to do that search, we'll also put that link in the notes. That way you have enough room in your vehicles, whether it's a van, truck, have the trunks of 2 cars or whatever it may be.
Okay, thank you.
Remember that the rookies are going to get one additional tote there in team. So you got to account for those two totes that are 27 by 17 by 13.
Have you been kind of, so you've done this before, I don't know, 6 years ago, but you haven't been in anything. I think one of our high schools in Lansing.
The rules will describe that when they come out. I'm not for sure exactly where that's going to be located in the rules, but typically the rules are determined by how many of your students have done robotics before. I want to say that if it's more than 4 or 5, if you have more than 4 or 5 students that have done it before, you are not considered to be a rookie team. If you, as the individual running the team, is the only one that's ever done FIRST before and your students have never done it, you have nothing to worry about. You are a rookie team. Don't worry about it.
All right.
And if you have people who did it in high school and are coming back as mentors, they count. It's only collegiate students with previous experience in FRC. So if they did robotics in middle school or in elementary school, that doesn't count. It has to be high school first robotics for them to be considered veteran.
Roger.
Any others? Our email address is in the notes for you guys. And if you have questions, feel free to send an email. Jason is an expert in kind of electrical kind of area. Clint's mechanical, and I'm more like PR type stuff. Feel free, send us an email. We'll get your questions answered. Please, 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 if you're going to be at kickoff at Kettering, or if you're coming to our team's workshop on Sunday, please come up, say hi. Clint and I will be the ones with the microphones. Clint's the guy with the beard. I'm the short girl who probably will have a kid stuck to her hip. So please come up and see us and say hi. And Jason, are you going to be at Kettering on Sunday? Picking up your kid? You and Jimmy?
Not. There, all of our mentors are going to be up there.
All right, you said in James and Jimmy?
Josh, this time.
Okay. All right. Well, we wish you guys success this weekend because, luck is handed to you and success is earned. So we hope you guys will have a great weekend this weekend, and please to send an email or text message, and don't include your name and your team number when you contact us. We can produce the best amount of information. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. There we go. Yep.